Hello bookworms, I'm Becca and today I'm going to be talking about The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. I read this book as a buddy read with Heather from Love Me Some Sarcasm. I'll leave her channel linked down below so you can check her out. I freaking love her and I'm so happy that I was able to buddy read this book with her. This was my first time buddy reading and it was a lot of fun and I had so much fun discussing this book with Heather. I do think that she ended up enjoying it a bit more than I did, but I still enjoyed the book. If you don't know, The Book Thief follows a young girl by the name of Liesel who is taken in by a foster family in Nazi Germany, and it just follows her life being in Nazi Germany during World War II, which I thought was a really unique perspective because most of the World War II books that I have read or that I have seen have to do with the other perspective, being Jewish or being a minority and having to survive. In the first 2/3 of the book, I did wish that the stakes were a little bit higher. I just didn't feel a sense of urgency that I often felt when I'm reading books that are set during World War II. The last third of the book really took off and the story was super interesting. I just wish that there would have been a little bit more oomph in the beginning of the book to really get me engaged in the story and with the characters. That being said, I feel like if I were to ever go back and reread this book, I would be much more emotionally attached because I already know what's going to happen. So I feel like I would pick up on a lot more things. I have read I Am the Messenger, which is also by Markus Zusak, and I think having read another book by him, that is one of the main reasons why the narration style in The Book Thief didn't particularly work for me. If you don't know, the book is narrated by Death, but to me it really just read like Markus Zusak trying to write Death. It felt entirely too human and I wish it would have had a darker aspect to it because it was Death. So I do think that the author chose a really interesting way to portray Death, and I'm not sure if making him appear a bit more human was intentional, but it definitely did not work for me as well as I would have hoped. If Death wants to interject, you have these little breaks in text. While some of those were very effective and gave you information that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise, a lot of them pulled me out of the flow of the story and I just wanted to read the narrative of what was going on. Both Heather and myself really agreed that this story is quite important, as most World War II stories are. Markus Zusak chose to have Death foreshadow a lot in the book to the point where it became kind of, to me, coming off as keep reading, it gets better, I promise. You don't want to miss this particular point when someone dies. And I didn't like that. I want to find out about the stuff happening myself, and I would have kept reading it regardless of whether or not I knew what was going to happen in the future. I wanted to like it. I really did. I've been trying to pick up this book for years and years and years, but I could never ever get into it. And then last year, for whatever reason, there was a really strange surge in popularity, especially in the booktube community, and all of the big name booktubers were reading The Book Thief, and I kept thinking to myself, that is really strange because I didn't ever think of it as that great of a book. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars, mostly because I enjoyed it. I liked the story, but I didn't love it, and it was kind of a chore to get through. As long as I had it and was reading it and actively reading it, I was really engaged in the story and the plot. But the second I put it down, I wanted nothing to do with it. I didn't want to pick it up. I didn't think about it. I had no interest in it. It would have been a lot better if I would have just picked it up and read it in one sitting, but it was hard to get into in the beginning, so I couldn't even do that. It took me almost the entire month of August to read this book. I wish that I would have liked it a little bit more. Even with all of my negative thoughts focused around this book, I still really did enjoy it at its core because I think that it's a book for book lovers, and it really does, as Heather also mentioned, focuses on the power of words and spoken words in books and how important it is to speak up for yourself and always fight for what you believe in, even if you're the only one fighting for it. It also talks about the power of friendship, and I just think that there's some really important themes in this book that I really enjoyed and took a lot away from that part of it. If you look a little bit deeper into the story, being a lover of historical fiction, especially Nazi Germany, I loved the setting. I loved everything to do with it. It intrigued me, it engaged me, and I got to use all of my prior knowledge that I've had in school, in college, and in other books that I've read and bring it into this, and because of that, I got a lot more out of it than I would have if I didn't have all of those experiences and knowledge. So I think that if you are a lover of history and you like historical fiction and you're kind of fascinated by Nazi Germany and World War II but want a different sort of perspective on the story, then I would definitely recommend picking up The Book Thief. I'm sure I'll be revisiting it in the future sometime, and I think that if I were to reread it in the future, I would enjoy it a little bit more, but for now, my rating has to stay at 3 out of 5 stars. And that's all I really have to say about that book. I know that this is a slightly different format than how I usually do my reviews, but since I did do it as a buddy read and Heather and I had a chance to talk about our views via Twitter, I figured that I would just sit and chat with you guys about my thoughts and why I kind of felt that way. So let me know if you've read The Book Thief down below in the comments and what you thought about it. If you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below to see more bookish videos. That's all I got for you guys today. I'll see you next time.